Okay, good afternoon to us all. Shall we pray? Oh God, I pray this afternoon as we start this learning, we all understand in the name of Jesus. Thank you for the answer of our prayer. For in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So, as we can all see, ENG 383 Industrial Management, the topic is project management. Yeah, project management. So, just quickly write, I will explain the preceding ones in the group before I share this link. Okay, this is to find the critical part. To find the critical parts, you just remember that you have your this is your earliest time, you have your latest time to finish, you have your earliest start time, latest start time, and you have your earliest finish time, you have your latest finish time. Then you have your earliest time and you have your latest time too here. So earliest even like that. So a node, you should remember a node is a what? This is a node, a circle is a node rather, and that is a junction where two or more events, two or more activities rather are inhibited. So what I'm saying is to find the critical path, don't forget this diagram. Then you have your I, that is your activity 1, activity 2, like that. Then to find a slack or total activity float or total activity, you have your slack to be your latest time minus your earliest finish time. So you have it also as your TL equals to your LF, because when you are coming out you have it as LF. So you have TL equals to LF, then you have S equals to LF minus EF. So you have your minus EF. Yeah, just you understand what I'm saying and what I'm explaining and what we're talking about here. So let's consider this diagram here. Looking at this diagram, you see, looking at this question rather, to calculate, to draw the analyze, draw and get the greatest float and get the critical path. It says activity description, predecessors and duration. It's in your ENG 383 material I shared on the group page 10. So to draw this, you see you have the predecessor. That means A has a predecessor none, B none, C none. So that means they are concurrent. Concurrent simply means they are in a junction like this. That means they come out from a particular junction like this. So you can say you have your activity 1. Do you understand that? So you can say this is your A, your B, and your C. So that is the meaning when they say they are concurrent or they have predecessor as none. So you have your predecessor D as A, E as D, F as B, D. That means, example like this I that has EH, it means what gave birth to I, event I, is EH. That means EH must have been completed before your I can start. And that is your final test. So looking at diagram, we can see the diagram here. I will explain how we have the diagram. So the question says layer A, that is the activity A, B and C has none. So the A, B and C has none. That is, we have this activity 1. Don't forget this is your TE and this is your T. Or do you remember the T is that is the T for the TI like that. That is your latest time and your latest time coming out. You understand what I'm saying? So you have your activity 1 and it says A, B and C as none as their predecessors from the question. That means you can draw your A, B, C here. This is activity. An arrow is an activity. A circle is a node. A circle is a node, N-O-D-E. Activity. And you have events. Many junction coming to a node is called an event. And a dash line coming to a node is called dummy activity. It's called dummy activity. It has a zero duration. So coming back to the question, it says activity A has none, activity B none, activity C none. Can we see? So you see, when we get to C, if you look at the C from the question, it says C has none, but D has A as its predecessor. So that means D has A as its predecessor, activity 2. You see how I got my activity 2 based on its predecessors. So, and don't forget, this is my ls time, latest time, like that. So A1, that is activity 1, and I have my A come as activity is a node activity, and I have my activity 2 from the D, by knowing that D has a predecessor of A. So that is my D here. Looking at the question again, you can see further that your E has predecessor D. So that means my E has predecessor D. Activity. When I put the arrow sign there, it shows that I'm completing the activity. So this is a node, don't forget. And the completion of the coming of this arrow to here signify an event. So this is an event. It might be a pouring of foundation, it might be a pushing of car, it might be a wedding ceremony, like that. So on the completion of my D, I have my E. So that means my E will be outside. So looking at the next question, it said after E, it said F has B and D as its predecessors. So F has B and D. You know, these are our A, B, C. This A, B, and C, you can decide to put your C here, put your B here, dependent on the question. So for this, we just put B if it's gonna work out, and we need to be fast about. Don't forget 40 seconds per question. That is per analysis. So he said F has B and D as its predecessor. So F has B and D. What would that be? You know, this is the completion of D. Yeah. This place is the completion of A. You understand? From here to here, is this node satisfied that D has completed? This place satisfied that it is the completion of A and the beginning of D. So to satisfy the question that says F starts on the completion of B and D, that is as predecessor B and D, what do you think will happen? That is, I'll draw my B right here. You know, there isn't much space for this over here. That is why I'm making it short like that. So this is the completion of my D. I can decide to bring my node out here. I can decide to bring it here. I can decide to draw my arrow here. So let's say, imagine I draw this first. The question says F has B and D as its predecessors. So I'll complete my B first. This is my B. So say F has B and D. So what do you think will happen? This is D. F has B and D. So this is B. That means F will have B and D. D gets. So that means to complete my D, this is my D now. Looking at it, what it suggests. So F has B and D. That signifies, you see, what it will be the project here. You can still remember this comes first, right? 3. And I have this as my 4. So if you look at the material, you be very careful in the diagram, because some of the time there's a typographical error there. So F has B and D. That means F has B and D. It shows that F will come out from the completion of B, and D. So this D is here like this. It signifies this. So on the commission from here to here, or rather, let's do this and bring it further by saying we have something like this. We have this. So that means it can come like this. That means D and B gave birth to F. I come again. That means D comes from here, end here, come out from this node, and B come out from this node, giving birth to F. I have it as my 5, which is my 4 rather, and I divide this. So on completion of my F, you will note that it says G has C and D. G has C and D. That means this is my C. You can decide to draw it straight like this. So G has C and D. This is my C. G has C and D. You see, I can decide to bring this like this to make it here and draw my node here. Sorry, and draw my node here. Or I can decide to make it like this. Either way I prefer. So I prefer to use this, being the fact that the board isn't much longer. So we have this as my activity 5, and I have this. So my C is here, and this is a dummy activity. Why is it dummy activity? How will you know if it's dummy activity? You will know when the node coming out from it is crossing. Dummy activity on real life sense have a 0 duration. How do you know if it's a dummy activity? You know, your same D activity stops here. And to cross a path, don't forget they don't cross path, but to cross a path of this B, to cross a path, you use dummy activity. But here is not crossing path, and still yet we are using dummy activity. Why is because this particular one here has a preceding value of A, and from this same node one is coming out that cross path. One is coming out that cross path with this B. So the reason we have this as a dummy activity. Do we understand? And the last important point is that if you are to check your dummy activity, this point never fails. If you are calculating your LS time out and your finish time in, you will understand that later. You cannot have the same value here for the same. You cannot have the same D. You cannot have D2, D3. What I mean by that is this same D will always be D on this real sense. So the final reason is that you can't have your activity twice in a portion. No, you can only have it once. So D is here. You cannot have D here. You cannot have this as D. You cannot have this as D. Do you understand? So that is that. So
my brother.
So we have our F rather as C, our F as B and D, and our G as C and D. So C and D. The next one says we have our H, we have our G rather as C and D. So my G will come out here. So next one we have H as F and G. H as F and G. So H as F and G. This is F, right? This is my F, and H is F and G. So this is my G. Don't forget to put the arrow there. When I draw this like this, I put my arrow. That is an activity. Without an arrow, there is no activity. So this is an activity, and this is an activity too. Don't mind my writing. Permit me for that, President. So I have this node as my 6. So the next one says, which is the last one, says you have your I as your E and H. So this is my E. Don't forget my F and G is my H. As my H. So I will have my I as E and H. So my E and H will be my I. That means where will my E come to? My E will come directly here to give birth to I. So I can decide to do like this. I can decide to draw this here like this. Dependent on your book and the extension of your notes. If probably you draw your diagram and it is straight like this, it is all straight through, no problem. And if you are drawing and it's like this, no problem. But one thing is that it must be in a proportion. It must be progressive. This is an arrow progressing right hand side, coming down, progressing to my right hand side like this, right hand side. So that is one of the reasons why I highly recommend us using pencil. Then we trace it with pen later. Don't forget that in exam hall. So they said the duration, like I said earlier, you can see the duration A5, B25, C18, like that till I1. So we're gonna make use of this duration by writing it beside. So my A is what? My A is 5. So let me write it further here. Bring it back. My A is 5. So like that. So on completing it, I have my duration 5, duration 25, duration 18, duration 14, 14, 4, 5, 5 ish, and the I as 1. So my ish. Now, please let's kind of be careful in the aspect of writing our duration, like that, like that. And now you can relate that this is my KT from the critical part diagram I drew first time. I have my K, comma T. If you remember, I have my I, J. So you can see the meaning and its explanation. So let's continue. First, now don't forget you always have 0. How to solve this? You always have your 0. Very fast. When you have your 0, this is your starting point, your earliest starting point, because before we can come to class or or join an online lecture, our phone won't just be driven like that. We will be the one to either on our data, switch on our data. Let's be at 0 level, then we switch our phone data on, go to our portal, join the class platform, things like that. So same way you are going to your hostel, you will start from an initial point which is 0. So you have my 0 here. Immediately I will have it under. This is my ES. Don't forget my I, my ES, LS, EF, LF. I have my J. So you can see I have my TEI, T, like I said earlier, you see my TEI. This is my activity 1, I. So it can be 1, it can be 5, it can be 4, my J, like that, my E. So all I'm saying is your K is your C, your T is your duration. So you can see, let's complete using this. You put your 0 first. So 0, when you put 0 first, at the beginning it's always be 0. Some of it sometimes might not be concurrent like this. Some of this might not be concurrent. This is concurrent. Some of it might be A, some of it might be activity A as a preceding of D. Activity A has a preceding of D. So this is a D on its own. Like that, joins another one. So they say activity B has another stuff, like activity B has another one like E, like that, dependent on the question. So most of the time, all of it sometimes it might not be concurrent, coming out from a particular node, which is an event. So I have 0, I write it under it. Let's go sharp. 0 to 5, that is 0 plus 5. I have it as 5. This 5 will enter because it is the only one entering. 0 to 25. But this way is not fast. That is why you need to fix a node. You need to what? I said we need to what? We need to go through a node, a particular activity, and complete it before we come to that one. So it won't be, our time won't be wasted. So we won't waste our time. So we start again. 0 plus 5. I have my 5. 5 will enter. Why will 5 enter? Because 5 is the only value here, and 5 is the greatest here. So I have 0, 5. 5 entered. 5 will come out again beneath it. When I'm forward, we call it forward pass. Forward pass rather. So 5 plus 14, 19. So when this 19 stay here, what do you say? 19 will what? Come here. 19 will be under here. The same 19 will now stay under this dummy activity. Another 19 under this dummy. And every dummy activity is 0. I mean, this 0 is written. This 0 is written here. Just like we have 25 written, 18 written, 5 written, like that. So 0, that's the activity of what? Duration of 0 and 0. And why is it dummy activity? It was dummy activity because you cannot have two activities at the same time. You can't have the same activity process at the same with different time. So it is only on this real time. This is a dummy activity. So we have this like that. Now this is 19, 19, 19. And this is my 19 here. I progress forward. 19 plus 14. I have it as what? 33. So 33 beneath here. So I have this as 33. So 33 can't enter here yet. Why? Because I have other activity coming here. So I need to consider the greatest value. So I come back here. 19 plus 0, 19. Beneath this arrow. 19 plus 0, 19. to this arrow. So 19 can end, you see 19 can enter here because I have another activity coming in here. This is applicable to any life daily activities. All wherever we are being taught engineering maths, please, they are all applicable. Please, I'm telling you, they are all applicable. Like that. So coming back here, so we've analyzed that we have 19 here. So 19 can also enter here because I have another activity. I need to consider the greatest. So let's go 0 plus 18. I have it as what? 0 plus 18, 18. 18 and 19. You see, the greatest is what? 19. Adding this is 21 or 15 or 20 rather, or greater than 19. I will put it here, but 19 is greater than 18. 19. So 19 will come out. Then 19 plus 5, that is 24. 24 can't enter because I don't know if this activity will be greater than this 24. So we come here, 0 plus 25. I have it as 25. Now you can see 19, 25. 25 is greater than 19, 25. 25 come out. 25 plus 4, 29. 29. You see, so 29 will enter because 29 is greater than what? 24. So 29 come in. Now 29 will come out. ES, don't forget ES, LS, EF, LF. 29, 29. So 29 plus 5, that is 30. 29 plus 5, that is 34. So I have my 34 here. Don't mind my writing on the board, very small like that. So 29 plus 5, 34. So you can see my 34 is greater than my 33. I put my 34 inside. Don't mind the writing, very small, sorry. So my 34 is greater than my 33. So my 34 is larger. The activity duration is larger. So I have 34 in here. So you can see how I completed the node as a whole. Very cheap, very fast. So 34 plus 1, that will 34 will come out here. 34 plus 1, that is 35. So 35 will enter. Then 35. Getting to the last point, to the last activity, last event, rather, last node, you go in the same 35. Yeah, that law is applicable. And why? It is applicable being the fact that when you are done, you plan on eating and you are done eating. What do? At that point, when you are done eating, we are satisfied. That is a critical point. That is a maximum point for that desire. So the points you get, the maximum strength you take in getting that desire of yours is equal to the same maximum point used in stopping that your desire. Imagine I'm to open Newton's third law of motion. So imagine I open a tap rather, and I want to fetch my water. The amount of turning I used to open the water tap is the same amount I use in closing the tap. So that is what we have as Newton's third law of motion. So the same way you have your 35 equals to 35. So just imagine I will come out with the same 35, this same 35. You know, I came in with this 35 and I came out with this 35. So I come out again with this 35 on top 35. Why? Because 35 is only one available here. So 35. Now when I'm going further, I add. When I'm coming back, I subtract. When I'm going further, I add. When I'm coming down, I subtract. So let's consider that coming out with my 35, that will be 35 minus 1, 34. It's 34 is here. So my 34 will enter here. 34 will come out on top of this activity of E and activity H, 34. So this is 34 here. You need to put this into writing. I guess you understand that. Please, can you let's do. So 34 will come out here to this same node. So 34, let's start with this node, continue with this node rather. 34 minus 14, that is 34 minus 14, and we have it as my 20. So I don't draw your arrow, don't draw your activity. No, you only have your progression activity to the right hand side, not coming back. So 20 will enter here. When 20 enters here, now what do you think will happen? Is that correct? No, we violated the law that says that we need to consider the what? Highest for going. But when we are coming back, we consider the lowest. So 20 will not enter yet because we don't know if the activity coming from this dummy activity when we are coming back will be greater or be lesser. You know, when I was going forward I added. And when I add, when I wanted to enter a node, I consider the greatest. But when I'm coming back, I will subtract and I'll consider the lowest. It's just the reverse. And that's what we call backward bias. Yeah. So we have this 34 rather minus 14. We have it as 20. So 20 wouldn't enter yet. Let's consider this note. That is, I need to come back here. So 34, this 34 that came out here minus 5 is what? My 29. So 29 will enter here. Why? Because there's no other node, no other activity coming. So 29 will enter. When 29 enter, it does what? Come out on top. 29 come out on top. So 29 minus 4, we have it as 25. My 25 can enter here. Why? It's only one entering. So I have my 25 here. So my 29 minus 5 also. My 29 minus 5, I have it as my 24. So my 29 minus 5, I have it as my 24. So my 24 will be the one entering here too. Why? Because it's the only node activity entering the node, which is event. So I have my 24. So 24 will come out here, sure. 24 will come out here, sure. Sorry. So 24 minus 18, you have it as 6. Please, you should not use calculator for these small calculations. Please, let's beat ourselves. Okay, so 24 for this activity coming out minus 0, I have it as well 24. That is 24. Then I have my 25, which entered here, right? 25 will come out here. So, but before that, I come again from here. 29, 5, 24, 24, come out here, come out here. So my 24 minus 0 is my 24, okay? My 24 minus 18, 6, okay? So I come back to this other portion, which is 34. 34 minus 14, 20. Now, that is for this 20. Now we come to this last portion, we have this 29 minus 4, 25. 25 entered, and 25 will come out where? Here and here. So 25 minus 0 will be what? 25 here. And 25 minus 25 what? 0. So you can see on this node we have 20, we have 25, and we have what? 24 when going in now, like when going back. So what is it? We are considering the smallest. So the smallest is what? 20. So 20 will enter. So when my 20 enter, it's come out. 20 minus 14, 6. 6 enter. 6 come out. 6 minus 5, 1. So here I have my smallest, which is 1, 0, 6. So my smallest is what? 0. And that is the completion of this particular thing. So all you are going to do when you solve the question is just draw your activities, draw your nodes, and complete the diagram. Just to understand that. So when I'm done with this, the critical path is the longest path. As we can all see like that, we've completed the activity as a whole. So we are considering the critical path. The critical path is the path at which there is no slack. The critical path is the path where slack is not involved. A path that does not have slack. Slack, S-L-A-C-K, is also known as our float. Our float. So when the word is float or slack, float or slack is the amount of delay we can have during our activities without any temperament or tamperament to our critical path. Any delay we can have so far during an activity without touching the critical path. And what is the critical path? The critical path is the part where there's no slack. So let's see, and how do we know that? That is when we have our ES, we have our EF, we have our ES minus LS minus ES equals to 0, and our LF minus EF equals to 0. I told you that the formula to calculate the time, you check. So and what is the formula? It's very cheap. So we're gonna do that. Now to calculate the critical path, here you can see this is the critical path should be what? B F H I. Why is because you see I have it as my what? 0 and 0. 25 minus 25, 0. 25 minus 25, 0. 29 minus 29, 0. 29 minus 29, 0. 34 minus 34, 0. 34 minus 34, 0. 35 minus 35, 0. So whenever I have my ES, my LF and EF equals to each other, it is my critical path. So what will be the critical path? The critical path what? B F H I. So that is that about that. And how do we get that? Simply to calculate your critical path, you can use, so you can calculate your critical path like this. From the diagram here, you can see these are my critical path. I just draw it back. My B 25, 25, F 25, 25, 29, like that, H and I. So I have it as this here too. My critical paths are 0, 25, 25, 25, 25. I have my F with a duration of 4. I have my, don't forget I put my arrow in there that completes my activity, and I have my F, that is my activity 4 and activity duration 4 rather. I have my 29, and I have my 6, and that is my activity number, activity time 29. I'm activity level 29, and I have it based on, you see this board. Sorry for that board there, the board isn't that okay that because I need to do this class seriously. So I can extend my drawing downward like this. We understand that I can send downward, and I have, after that I have my activity. After F, you can see I have my activity as, after F I have my activity as what, H, and that is 29. I have my I too, so I can draw my activity like that. I have this as my 6, and that is my 7, which is my H, and I have it as 29 here. For that I have my 29 here, 29 will come out, and I have my H here as my 5 duration. I have my, there I have my 34. It's there in the diagram, you just need to draw it back. So then completing my 34 we enter, I have it as, I have it here as my I. So my I, sorry for that. So I have my I with the duration of 1. So, and I have my number 8, and I have my 35. How? That is my 35. 34 come out, 34 come out, and I have my 35. You don't need to cram this. Why? It's in the diagram. I'm just drawing this. Why? That is a critical part. How do I know? By looking at the EF and LF and LF, EF 25, they are equal. You see, other parts are not equal. 1 and 0, 5, they are not equal. So that is not the critical part. So this is the critical part. So I have my 35, I have my 35. So therefore the critical parts are, my critical parts are, what do I have? You can complete that, right? B F H B F H I. That's my critical part. When we get to class, I'll explain how we're gonna get that critical part without even drawing much like that. Very well. So we go to the greatest float. So what is the float? I said the float is a what? Is a portion or is a path in the diagram. That is a critical path method analysis, where the amount of delay, we can get the amount of delay without tampering our critical path. So you see, imagine you exclude your critical path like this. You have this. Imagine this is not there. So how do you get our float? Our float is the greatest delay. And how do you calculate our float? We can calculate our float like this. Float, or total activity slack S, is this. So my S, float, like I said earlier, is, if you still remember, my slack, that is my float, slack is equals to my TL minus my EF. And that is my, I said my, where TL equals to LF. Therefore slack equals to LF minus EF. What is my LF? My LF is my latest time, allowable event time, while my EF is my earliest finish time. Sure, understand? So latest, we have that. So now I want to consider, use this formula, and I want to solve this. This is how you write it in the exam, please. Yeah, I'm gonna make the writing more minimal and we can comprehend the timing. You know, per OBJ 40 seconds, don't forget that. And per theory questions, we have it as 2 minutes per questions, regardless how hard it is. We're gonna solve this within 2 minutes. Trust now when we come back to tutorial, 4 seconds per question. Sure, you know how we relate. So please do well to jot these things down. Don't just watch the video without jotting, please. Alright. Okay, so this is how we're gonna write it, and we consider our fund. So we consider the next thing. So for as usual, we have our activity. So for activity, we have our slack S. I draw a table. I draw this. So if you check from activity A, I have my what? ES. I have my LF and EF. That is, I have it as A equals to 6 minus 5, which is equals to what? So rather, so I have this as my duration. LF minus EF. So 6 minus 5, I have it as what? 1. For my B. So not to waste time to start checking one by one, that is wasting time. First thing you do is just write your activity. You know it is what? A to I, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, like that. So like this. Then you know your critical path method and your BFHI. You still remember you have your critical path method as what? BFHI. So you just write your B for your BFHI. You just fill it very fast. You know your activity will be what? 0. That will be 25 minus 25, 0. Your C, you have it. You know it's BFHI. My F2 what? If you check your diagram for F, you have it as well 29 and 29. So I have it as my 29 minus 29, which is 0, and I have my H2 as 34 minus 34. Permit me for not showing that part because the board isn't that really good. 0, and I have my I2 as 35 minus 35. I have it as 0. I'm going to show that badly. You see it's broken here. Reason for not showing it actually at the time. Sorry for that. So I have my 35 minus 35, 0. My 34 for my I and H. So my G, going back to the question, if you check my G, you see we have G as well, 29 minus 24, LF minus EF. So that is my 29 minus 24. I have it as what? 5. And I have my E. So on completing that, so as we can all see, I've completed it like that. You know, I said my E, LF, EF, LF, EF. So like that. So you can see here my greatest flutes occurs at where? My A has slack 1, my B has slack 0, my C slack 6. So you can see the highest greatest flute is what? Occurs at what? My C. Permit me for circling like that. I'm looking through the camera. Okay. So this is where the greatest flow occur. Greatest float. So if they say what is the total float? The total float or total slack, or you can say greatest float or slack. So what is the total float? The total float, the total float or slack, like that is, you just add it together. 1 plus 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 14. So I'll have it as 14. We come again 5, 6, 7, 13, 14. So my great total float is what? 14. That is all the question. That is it. So what we're gonna do is just analyze this, solve this, and get like that. So these are so I'll give a question. You kindly do that, try to attempt it, and please let's send me your answers, please. So before this I would explain the first topic, which is industrial management, necessary possible questions by the help of the Holy Spirit, and what our lecturer taught us. Those lecturer, please don't let us say they are lazy. No, as a brethren in Christ Jesus, as sons of God, those words are not permittable. I don't know how a person will say someone is a stupid person and my conscience will not hold me. It's not possible. We don't run our Christ Jesus, our God, like someone like that. God is loving, and even we know they are lazy. You know, that is the truth. That is a fact. We know. But we are not to do and say that. Rather, we make use of it as an advantage. Because how many people we get along doing online lecture, things like that. But that should not be our excuse. So we try upgrade ourselves and we back up ourselves through reading, praying, and godliness, sanctification, and righteousness. So I pray as we listen to this more and we watch it over, the Lord help us spending till we start our physical class. Thank you guys, and the Lord help us all in the name of Jesus. So do well to ask me questions. The Lord bless us. Good afternoon. Please have a wonderful day.